This might be the only video you need if you want to succeed in the fitness industry. It doesn't matter if you have no experience or you're already making money, what I'm gonna show you today can either make or break your business. Now, I've been in the industry for nearly 10 years. I've worked with some of the biggest brands. I've ran 2 multi-million-dollar companies. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you're gonna get 10 years of that experience in just a few minutes. So let's get into it. So if you wanna be successful in the fitness industry, the first thing you have to do is have a service to sell. Now, there's a couple of ways of making money in the fitness industry. There's the way of going for the influencer type of thing, like going for followers, and there's a way of going for customers. Now, I did both, but I went from followers first. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about both today and how we're gonna use both together. But the problem in just going for followers is that there's a chance you will make absolutely no money at all. And that's kind of shit, right? So I want to give you guys the chance and kind of the playbook to make money and also try and get more followers as well, right? For whatever reason you want to. In my instance, the more followers I gained, I built 800K on YouTube, 500,000 on Instagram. I was able to launch a pajama brand. I was able to launch online coaching, make a few million. And now I help people do their online coaching, either start or scale that. So if you want, there's a free school group below as well on everything to do with online coaching and creating services. You guys can join as well. And if you want my help, hit me up there. So let's talk about creating a service. Now, the best thing you can do if you want to get in the fitness industry is help people get in shape and launch an online coaching. That is my opinion if you can help people. So you don't need qualifications to do online coaching. So if you want to get into it, that's probably a great start if you feel like you can help people. If you feel like you still need to learn more when it comes to coaching people, then no stress. But I speak to a lot of people who are like, I'm already helping, I'm already doing everything. I just thought I had to be qualified, in which case I'm like, no, go for it. So let's talk about creating a service and launching that and what that looks like. So with coaching, basically, there's usually 3 pillars. We've got, let's just call it food, training, and there's this last one of support and accountability. And that's the thing. That's the easiest service to sell because all the information's out there. And that's the thing. All the information's out there and people are paying for the implementation of that. So they are paying for you to help support them along the journey with their food and with their training. Now, it doesn't have to be rocket science. I think a lot of people nowadays are trying to come up with this crazy offer in terms of the delivery and the support and things like that. It doesn't have to be crazy. Like with food, we're either gonna give people macros or a meal plan or both or whatever you wanna do. With training, there's gonna be some kind of plan in there. And support, there's gonna be either check-in or there's gonna be just chat. And you can do this by Loom, so you don't have to be talking all the time. You can do it by Zoom. You can give them a call. I don't care how you do it, but this can be your offer, and now you have a service to sell. So how are you gonna do this? Choose a software to deliver this stuff like Trainerize, Kahunas, Everfit, whatever you wanna do, doesn't bother me. Our clients in the Blueprint don't, they use a mix of them, and it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, it's not what you're giving, it's how you're packaging it up and what you're selling it for. So you need a service to sell. These are the main kind of things. Once you decide on what you're gonna do like this, sweet, now just put a plan of action and make it happen. Make it happen, go download the services, find the right software that you need, and start practice onboarding people, and then they basically be ready to sell. So the first part is the delivery of your coaching service itself. Now, price-wise, we want this to be over $1,000, I would say, so that you can actually make some money doing this stuff, right? Now, the service is one thing. We need to know how to get people in, get eyeballs on our Instagram and our content so we can have a means of going from lead to customer. So let's talk a little bit about that. It kind of brings us to step 2, which is developing a content strategy. So this is gonna be on Instagram and or TikTok and or YouTube if you want to do that as well. I recommend doing a combination of everything. Now, when it comes to content strategy, there's people who make content and they literally, you might relate to this, they make content in fitness almost for the sake of it because there's nothing happening. There's no growth, there's no customers. It's like you're just documenting and making content. Now, there's nothing wrong with documentation content because it's gonna get you better as a content creator. It's gonna get you better at making videos, and that's fine. When I started making content, I would document stuff, right? But my main prerogative was to give people value and solve problems. My earliest YouTube videos was just how can I help people? And after so long of helping people, they wanted, when I said, hey, I'm launching my business, a lot of them jumped on it, right? But That said, I work with people who have not put out much content at all they do is and they start advertising their service and they make money. So I don't want you guys thinking, I want to build my following first and put out goodwill and then I'm going to launch, because you can launch right now, make money today as you are putting out content and building goodwill for future customers. So there are customers who are willing to buy your stuff, your service immediately. There are people in your circle right now, they might follow you or they might just know you, and they would buy your stuff immediately just when they hear about it and getting on a call with you. So I'm of the opinion of, let's get them signing up now, and later let's build goodwill for future customers, okay? So let's talk about a content strategy, and I want to give you guys one that I teach my students. So when I started, all I did was solve problems, and that's the easiest thing you can do, is go, let me just solve as many problems as possible. And that is also totally fine. Let's see if I can draw a pentagon. Is that 5 sides? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the fucking worst pentagon ever, but we're rolling with it. We're going with it, because it's not about being perfect, right? That's fucked. I'm sorry guys, that's bad. Oh well, let me make sense of this. So there's some goals that we have in our content, right? Educate. Education is building goodwill. And I think this makes more sense now, because you want the majority of your content to be educational, because it's value adding, it's helping people, right? That's actually good. That's good. That makes sense now. Another one is entertain. And if you can make a combination of these, if you can make your content both educational and entertaining, you're onto something, because people want to be entertained. They are on social media for entertainment, and also they want to be educated to a degree. But if you just come at them straight away with education, you're narrowing the niche quite a lot. Like you watching this right now, you are here to learn something. That's why you clicked on this video. Great. I'm going to deliver on that as best as I possibly can, so finish the video. But there's also some people who just kind of want to be entertained, and if you can give them both of those things together, they're going to enjoy it much more, and they're going to resonate with you much more as well. So in all of my reels, like I try and do a little bit of both where I can. Like if I'm trying to teach something, I'm also trying to make it not as boring, right? So keep that in mind, but there's also the different pillars. And there's also one to inspire. Some of your content might just be to inspire people. Maybe to get them to do something, motivate them, do all that. Now, if you're just posting content to inspire people, you're putting yourself in a bucket. And there are a lot of people who do that and do not succeed. Because it's kind of like coming from a place of vanity when you think about it. Because you think, well, I'm gonna inspire so many people. And I see countless people who post what they think is inspirational. I'm like, dude, you need to get out and humble yourself for a second. Because yeah, you look all right, but you know C-Bum. I've had angled C-Bum. Funny story, I haven't really. He's a fucking monster. I did try though. So that's one, to inspire people. And that's okay, that can happen every now and then. I personally like, the ones to inspire is what I think should be talking and getting people to do something. Like getting them lit up to go light a fire and do something. Don't just sit around, squandering their health. Another one is to connect. And I think this is a great pillar, because if you're connecting with people through your content, you're building that trust. And that trust is what is going to make them want to buy from you or follow you or just listen to you in the first place. Because if you just post on Instagram, like, if you're posting just carousels or empty, like just photo posts, which is absolutely nothing to do with any kind of value, no one is going to connect with you, because no one will give a shit. Whereas if you're getting in front of the camera and talking and teaching and entertaining and putting your personality out there, telling your story, they're gonna connect with you. And if people connect with you, well, they're gonna trust you. It's like if you don't speak to someone, those people, right, where you'll meet them, they're really quiet and shy, and you're like, that guy's kind of rude. And then after you get to know them, you're like, damn, I misjudged. You're a really nice person. Why? How'd you know that? Because you communicated, because you spoke, you exchanged information in words, and that's what happens when you speak on camera, is because you can get your personality out there. If you're just posting carousel videos, silent videos, trend videos, or photos, you're never gonna make money, because no one's actually gonna ever get to know you, therefore they're never gonna trust you. So I'll leave that with you for a minute and think connect. So what kind of content is connection? Storytelling. It's storytelling. What stories do you have that you could teach, that you could tell other people that they can connect with you? These could be about previous struggles you overcome. These could be about current struggles that you're dealing with, right? Like, what does that look like? For me, previous struggles I've overcome is dealing with anxiety and dealing with anxiety and the fear of like not being good enough, right? And then current struggles, well, the latter is still there. I still have a fear of, damn, am I not good enough? I'm not this. And that's what I share with people. And I say that these are insecurities that I've dealt with. These are insecurities that I'm currently dealing with. I'm not perfect, and I'm trying to, better this. And if I can share any tips along the way, I'll do that. And that goes a long way than saying, I've figured it all out. I'm the best. Listen to me, right? Very different things. So connect. Another one is, I'm gonna do this upside down, prove. This is for when you already have, horrible writing. It's backwards too. It looks like hieroglyphics. When you already have proof that you're good at what you do, maybe you've got transformations, you've got results, you'll share that. And that is just gonna build that credibility in your brand that you are good at what you do, that you're a good online coach, for example, that you can help people get results. If you don't have testimonials, use yourself, because you can always use yourself as a great case study and a great testimonial, because I'm sure you've got yourself in pretty great shape as well. So let's look at all these together. We've got videos to entertain. These could be skits. These could be relatable videos. When I think of entertaining videos, my mind is like, how can I either wow people or how can I absolutely relate to them and make it kind of funny? That's usually what I do. So like a little fun fact, when I make a skit video, I take a really relatable scenario and I go, how can I exaggerate the hell out of that? That's what I do. I do, and it works every time, and it makes it really funny. So that's a really easy entertainment. Education is problem solution. So you need to think, who in my target audience, what kind of problems do they have, and now how can I solve those? That's it. It's very simple. It's all you need to do. Solve the problem. When you're talking about the actual exact, like how to make videos, which we might get into in a minute, it's going to be very different how you do that and what's a good way versus a bad way. But in just the bare essence, that's all education is solving problems for people. Inspiring people, that's making them take action. That's what I believe inspirational content should be. Not just like, hey, look at me, but how can I make you take action that's going to better your life and better your situation. Connect is stories. And that is, like I said, what insecurities have you been through? What is your story? What message can you share that you take people on the journey with, right? Even just personal documenting. You can connect that way by documenting. That's gonna be great to get that trust built in, right? Is like just documenting what you're doing. That's fine. Document how you're spending your day, what you're doing with your time, and then proof. We've got maybe a carousel as a testimonial style video, as a before and after. But what I really like to keep it talking is reels, doing proof reels. So what you can say, and this is an example I can give you guys in this context, is I can tell you, right? So like, let's say I've got a client. His name's Lockie. I don't have anything from him yet. There's no physical, tangible proof I can show you guys. But what I can say is when Lockie joined the Blueprint, he was working full-time as an electrician, and now he's making around $20,000 a month, and he's quit his job. So when I say that, I'm still doing social proof. That's a true story. I've got another guy who quit his job and moved to Bali. He's doing 30 grand a month. His name's Ollie. That's social proof, and that's proof. And that does the same effect here, but I don't have the photo of him. I can pop one on screen, but I don't have the photo right now handy, right? But I can still tell the story. And I could go into how that happens and what we did and things like that to establish proof. So if you've got people in shape, or you've got a friend in shape, or you, or your clients, talk about it. Make reels and talk about it. Now, this is your content. How many are you gonna do? So the next thing is to turn these into ideas. So once you've got the pillars, you're now gonna turn those into ideas. Easiest way, simplify it, write the ideas down. Put them in your notes, write a whole bunch of ideas down, taking from different types of these pillars. And once your ideas are written down, you're gonna script them, right? Script the ideas. And once they're scripted, you're gonna then put them into your calendar. I like to do two things for the calendar. One, when am I gonna shoot this? And two, when am I gonna post it? So write down when you're gonna shoot the video. Super important that you write that down, otherwise it will never happen. Then, when are you gonna post it? Now, if you want, you can alternate between doing some educational, entertaining, storytelling, and have that roughly in your week. But once you do this, that is your content calendar. And then all you gotta do is post. Now, little bonus tip from this. Once you post a video, you're gonna wanna check it out and look what happens. You're gonna wanna look at the metrics. What do people do? What do the viewers do when they see this video? Are they watching for a long time? Are they skipping it? Did it get a lot of views? Did it get no views? Go to your Instagram, check your analytics, and then check it out by how many people are saving the video. That will give an indication of value. How many views are they getting? That will give an indication of relevance. Take your best videos and go, what do they have in common? Is it where I was? Is it what I'm talking about? Is it the hook? Is it how I said it? What do they have in common? Repeat them again. That is how you get your content better and better and better, is you go, all right, what should I never do again? What bombed hard? And what actually did better? Lean in the better direction and your content will get better. In a minute, we're going to talk about the exact anatomy of a reel, but for now, we'll move on. Before we move on, just quick pause. What's helping? What's landing? What have you taken away? Drop it in the comments. Let me know what's been helpful so far. Now, this content strategy, right? That content strategy alone can help you build your following. And that if your goal is just building followers, great, do that. That will do that. But if you add in the service, like I said, and you add in call to action content throughout the week, which we can go into in a minute, that can help you make money and also grow your following. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can be the same thing. You can grow your following and also make money at the same time. And that's why I think, why not? If you want to do that, like why not get into it? So that's what we help people do if you want to learn more about that. So the third thing is we need a point of difference. This, I think, is one of the most important things in the landscape today, is a point of difference. It always has been. It's harder to stand out now, so you do need a point of difference. But the good thing is you have one. Your personality is different to the next person's personality, and you probably think you're a nice, funny guy or girl, or you probably think you're a decent human. You've got something else to offer. You just might not want to put it out there on social media. You might not feel comfortable putting it out there, which is like normal. But I think you're going to have to, because if you want to succeed in the fitness industry, you have to overcome that shit. Like you have to push that fear aside for the sacrifice of a greater goal. Otherwise, everyone would be doing it. Everyone would be successful. And the way that I think of this is, people might look at me and go, okay, yeah, he's lucky. Zach's lucky he was successful on fitness or on socials or whatever because of X, Y, Z. And I'm like, yes, I'm very fortunate. But I was making YouTube videos 7-8 years ago when I really didn't want to. And I was absolutely terrified. I was shitting myself talking to the camera, and I'm in front of a shopping center just wanting to just go in a hole and die. And I was like, and I was just thinking, it's right. No one else was doing that. No one else was doing that like when I was, and then they aren't now. I did that every single week. So when I was doing all of those things every week, I'm making hundreds and hundreds of videos. No one else is doing that, and until they do that, then they can go and talk shit about me. And if they're doing that and did the same work I did, go for it. And that is what happens if you want to be successful, is that you'll do things that people are not willing to do. And that's why you'll win. That's why you'll be successful. And you can't sit back on the sidelines and judge other people for the work that they're doing when you're not doing any work. So, little kind of tangent, but you need to have a point of difference. So you putting your personality out there and overcoming that fear in order to have a point of difference is going to be one of the reasons why you'll succeed. Because everyone is a carbon copy of everyone else, and we don't want to follow a million carbon copies of the same thing. We want to follow people that are different. Like that's why we will connect with someone and follow them online, is because something about them we connect with and we find different to the norm. So what I kind of think about now is like, what in your personality, what elements can you bring out that is going to be different? And that's going to come through your content. That's going to flow and trickle through your content, especially like on your stories as well. Like jump on your stories every day and talk, post, just share stuff, share the inner workings of your mind. And it might not work straight away, but over time it'll start to snowball and lead into something that you're like, oh, this is actually my persona is coming out online a little bit more. It feels more comfortable. In your reels, this will happen. You'll start thinking of different ways to film reels, edit, share your thoughts, and you'll come up with a format that one day will work. And you can't just think of it and then it'll spring into action. You have to just post all the time and develop it. It's an iterative process where you're developing a point of difference. Success will not look like this. It just will not look like that over time. It's going to be like this. You're posting, all of a sudden, win. Then it's nothing, then win, oh, now I know how to do it. That's what it usually will look like. And what happens is people get so carried away in this bit that they never know when that win is around the corner. They never know which post is going to take off. Or they get stuck down here and they think it's never going to get better, as opposed to just learning it until you continuously improve, right? So you have to have a point of difference. Think about what you can do differently that no one else is doing. Just your personality alone is enough, okay? You don't have to go crazy. Your personality should be enough. Lean into it. Do more of that. And obviously it goes without saying you need to be consistent. Otherwise, none of this is going to work, right? So I thought I'd quickly touch on that. But the next point is very important. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a reel. So a reel or a TikTok video or whatever, I'm gonna talk through a talking head video because I did a workshop this for my group this morning and it's fresh in my head. So I wanna give you guys the anatomy of a reel. So a reel short form video, this is how to kind of script it. So the process of making a reel it involves a few different points. Let me use red for this. We have a hook. The hook has to get their attention. It has to stand out. It's got to have contrast. So it's got to make them go, wait, what? So it's got to be like polarizing. It has to be like bold, and it has to be important enough to get their attention and stop them in their tracks. So a really bad hook is telling everybody the value, like the point of the reel. So let's say we want to make a fitness reel and we want to educate people and we want to say that walking is better than running for fat loss, right? A bad hook would say, if you want to burn fat, you can walk instead of run. Like that, I think is a bad hook because if they already know that or they like it, like they resonate, they'll just probably skip and go, yeah, I know. A better hook might be, if you want to burn fat, stop running, or stop running if you're trying to lose fat. Because then it's like, well, why? There's a curiosity there. Like, what should I do then? Why should I stop running? There's more questions that need to be answered by watching the actual video itself. So that's a better hook. Now, the next thing is there's a bit of like a setup or like a pre-value. And that is the context. It's the big picture of why are we even talking about this, right? And if you can't provide information and context as to why this even matters, it's probably not a good idea in the first place. But if it's a good idea, there's going to be some reasons as to why. There's going to be pain points. There's going to be personal stories, analogies. There's going to be things to talk about as to why this is even important. So for example, let's take the running analogy. The context of why that might be important is that most people have always thought that running burns more calories than walking and that you need to do hard cardio to burn fat. And that sometimes if you're just doing hard cardio to burn fat, it might not be sustainable if you don't enjoy it. So all those things are examples of setup. It's establishing context and establishing the need to listen to what the hell you're about to say. Make sense? Next bit is the value. And the value is what most people think of when they start thinking about reels because they think, oh, that's the information. That's why people come here, right? But no, if you just do value, you're going to lose people because there's none of this stuff. So the value should be 1 to 3 lines, and it's stuff that they can either learn or do. So like, here's the explanation, do this. Here are the facts, implement that. That's the value. It doesn't take long. Might only be there for 15 seconds. And after that, we want the basically the outro, which is going to be comprised of 2 things. One is a mic drop, and the second, a CTA. So a mic drop is just a final sentence that will bring it all home, summarize everything, and go, and there you go. There's the whole thing, polish it in a nice bow. Now, a CTA is going to be that call to action. What do you want the viewer to do? So it depends on the goal of the video. You might want the viewer to follow, if they're not following already. You might want the viewer to like the video. You might want them to leave a comment below. You might want to send them something if they comment. So you could say, I'll send you a full guide on cardio if you comment the word cardio below. Or you might not have a CTA at all. I like having a CTA because even if you're not trying to earn money off the Instagram, it's still good to have a CTA because you want them to follow and like your account. You want them to do something. You want them to comment below. And you can get creative what that looks like as well. When I started my first YouTube channel, one of my call to actions in the first few videos, I wasn't monetizing at all. And I said, drop a comment on a question or something you found interesting, and I'm going to do a giveaway in the next video. And I did that every single week, and I built up traction in the community that way. No one else was doing it, so I thought that's a really good idea to do. So here are the main anatomy, the structures of a reel. And one other thing you can add in if you want to get tricky, is a re-hook. A re-hook is basically something that's going to get their attention again. And so that might be like saying, but wait for it. Or that might be like, but more importantly, and then the next thing. And here's something you probably didn't know. That's like a re-hook. So it's going to like re-hook the viewer again. Now, what you guys need to do as well is think about, this is the rough script. You want to do things like 1 line at a time, basically. And then you want to think about what is going to make each individual video pop more and get more attention. And so we need to add a whole bunch of stuff in here. So we need to add things like visuals. We need to add visual hooks for the most part. So this right here is a visual hook. So if I started an Instagram reel with, I'm gonna show you how to grow your business, right? I'm gonna show you how to make a reel. This is a visual hook, as opposed to if I was just like this, going, I'm gonna show you how to make a reel. Like, it's different. I'm showing you something. Your eyes will get the attention first, then your brain will follow of, okay, what am I listening to? What am I actually watching? So we need to add visual hooks throughout the process, and we need to add pattern interrupts. So what is a pattern interrupt? A pattern interrupt is, fuck! That's a pattern interrupt, right? You didn't expect that. So if you were zoning out then, you'd be like, what the fuck just happened, right? What the hell just happened then? That was a pattern interrupt. It's anything that shocks the viewer, that shocks the person. Even you can interrupt your own pattern. Famous, just kind of sidetrack, but Tony Robbins, one of the most famous things he does is he tries to get people out of their existing patterns. So he just does crazy shit like that. Like, he'll just like shout and clap and everyone's like, whoa. And then their physiology changes and they're like, whoa, it just gets them out of that kind of moment that they were in. So pattern interrupts are so powerful because you can do them all the time. And what we do is we just engineer them. So instead of having to scream like an absolute psycho like I did, you can plan pattern interrupts around how we are scripting the videos. So a pattern interrupt could be a location change or just a location in general. So the example I used was if you started a video in your swimming pool fully clothed, and that's the start of the video, that location is a pattern interrupt because they're scrolling on Instagram and all of a sudden they see this person in a pool and they're like, what the hell? Like, it's your brain just, it gets your attention, it sucks you in again, right? But now let's say 3 seconds later, I'm in a different location. That's another pattern interrupt because you expected me to stay in the pool and now I'm out of the pool. So it's another pattern interrupt. So every 5 seconds, you want to change something. You want to do a pattern interrupt every 5 seconds. This might be something as simple as a cut to here and then back here again. Like, that's a pattern interrupt because you kind of don't expect it. So don't be boring with your reels. You want to add pattern interrupts to location every 5 seconds, and it can be angles as well. So the angles of how you're shooting. Camera's over here now, then I can move it over there. That's another pattern interrupt. So super easy. So when you're looking at your reels, you want to add all the visual hooks you need and think, what props do I need? And then where am I going to shoot it? And then what am I going to change every 5 seconds? And then how am I going to change the angle? And that is going to be a pretty decent reel for retention. Because remember, if you can get people to watch the video for much longer, they're going to stick around and it's going to show Instagram and the algorithm that that is actually a good video. And if it does that, it's going to push it out to more people. So have a think about what you've been posting, if anything, and go, have I been doing those things, or have I just been giving away the spoiler, giving away the payoff? Have I been just standing in the same spot? Am I changing locations? Am I doing something different? Am I changing camera angles? What are you not doing that you can improve on in your reels? Now, the final and the most important thing we're going to cover is learning the skills to run a business. So in the beginning, there's a few things that you'll need to learn. If you're just starting, you need to learn how to market yourself effectively. You need to learn how to do organic marketing. And I could talk for literally hours about organic marketing and the exact playbooks that you can use. But the most important thing to nail, I think, is learning how to do a proper CTA, how to do a proper call to action to get people to go from aware or at least moderately interested to basically messages. Like, that's what we want to do. So we want to take people from CTA, which is where they first see your stuff. That's an eyeball. And we're going to bring that down into a chat and a call and a sale. That's how the process will typically work, right? So it goes from eyeball to, in the end, it's going to be collecting money. So a simple CTA structure is going to be like that, looking for three of this person that wants to achieve goal without annoying thing that they don't like in a certain time frame. And then the call to action is telling them to do something. So drop me a DM if that's you, like this story, and I'll reply, I'll reach out, whatever it is. Fill in the form here. It's a CTA. How many CTAs do you want to do a week? At least 2. But the key is to disguise them in different ways, but it's not always saying the same thing. That's the base. People think that, like, when I talk to like amateur coaches, all they think is, oh, you do 2 CTAs a week. They end up saying the same thing, they get no response, and it's very repeat, endless marketing. The smart thing is to do organic marketing campaigns where you're kind of getting clever with when you decide to promote and using urgency and scarcity and things like that to get people really hyped and they opt in and get really excited. That's the smarter way of doing things. Now, that's the first step of the first skill is literally just marketing. Next one, which I talk about a lot, is sales. And we obviously need sales because if you don't know how to sell anything, you can't sell a product or service, you'll struggle to make money, right? Obviously, content, we spoke about that. We need these things. If you can do content, which is marketing, right? I mean, content is just marketing. But if you can do marketing and sales, you can run a business. You can get money straight away, right? But it depends on what are you going to deliver. You have to have systems to deliver on that business itself, right? Obviously, that makes sense because if you have a coaching business, cool, we've got the deliver. If you can make content, great, you've got marketing. You can get them on a call and sell your product, you've got sales. These are the first intro pieces that you're going to need, right? But let's say you've done that because that's the basics and that's what you first need. And also, by the way, content is something that's going to get better and better and better. So is your sales, so is your marketing. No one just nails this, right? It's an iterative process. I see people that are just starting and they're posting their first post. I have coaches that are making 50, 60 grand a month and they're still trying to get their content and marketing and sales better. Because if you're not, you're plateauing. So first step is the basics of the business so you can actually get paid today. But what happens after that? Well, a few things. You're going to need to do a few different bits. You're going to need to delegate. So you're going to need to learn how to build and run a team. And this is something that I wish I invested into when I was much, much younger because it took me years of actually doing it and then figuring it out and paying and overpaying and learning the hard way of how to do this properly. Because you're going to need to delegate a lot of stuff. You're going to need to build a content team. You're going to need to build a marketing team. You're going to need to build a sales team at some point. You're going to have to build a delivery team to offload your, say, coaching and sub-coaches underneath you. So learning how to hire and build a team is one of the most important things you can do, especially at scale. Before that though, we have to learn how to run ads. Because if you can get good at content and you understand marketing and you can get people on sales calls and sell, you can literally print money once you understand ads. Because you are paying for leads. And when you pay for leads that you know will run through this process and give you a certain amount of money, you can play the game. That is scaling a business. That is how you scale. Tricky thing is, okay, well, how do I run ads? Or how do I get better at content? Or how do I get my offer in the right, marketing message? How do I get that correct? That's why people come to us, obviously, is because we can help do that, right? And teach you how to do that. Teach you these skills, which are really important. But I think it's helpful to know these are the skills that you need. It's very simple. There's only a few of them. If you master these skills, you can crush it, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about just anything else other than services. Okay, so if you're thinking, I still want to make money doing other things and brand deals and whatnot, I'll give you like that in 2 seconds. If you can build your content so good that you will attract brands that want to work with you, at that level, you can make your own and sell your own product. Because if you are making content so good that other brands see the value in paying you to promote their product, my opinion, you may as well make your own. Because otherwise, if you don't get to that level, brands won't pay you enough. They only pay you when the return on investment is, great. So if you're in that position, maybe consider making your own. But again, how far away are you going to be from that? We have guys that have 3,000 followers that literally have made 20, 30 grand a month. Because it's not about the number of followers, it's about the number of customers. And you don't need 1 million, you might need 100 good customers. 100 good customers paying 2 grand, that's 200 grand. That's enough to change someone's life, right? It's a lot of money. As opposed to making 200 grand from, let's say, YouTube. You'd have to have a lot of subscribers to make 200 grand from YouTube, or even from a brand deal. If you're good, if you made it, a brand will pay 5 grand a month. Think about that, 5 grand a month over, it's gonna be like 2 to 3 years to make a decent amount of money by doing that. So it's food for thought, right? Like I don't know why you wanna get into this. I don't know why you clicked on this video in the first place, but if it is the coaching kind of thing, then great, you're in the right place. I got heaps of free videos on here you can check out. There's trainings you can opt in. There's a school group below you can download. If you want to work with us directly, I recommend doing that as well. But if your goal is just growth on socials, because who knows what will happen, apply everything I taught here. And maybe you don't have to do the coaching thing yet, but still apply the content and just be relentless in your amount of volume you're putting out there in your content and make sure it's getting better. Because if your content is getting better and better and better, and you're putting your personality out there, and you're building a community, you can't lose. The only way you'll lose is if you stop, or if you stop getting them better, or if you stop trying to get your content better. But if you're doing all those things correctly, you will win 100%. And if you want to make more money doing it, it's not as hard as everyone makes it sound, or it's not as like, the hardest part is posting the content. That's the hardest part. And maybe learning the skills along the way. But I highly recommend just like give it your best shot. Give it a crack and never stop learning. So if this video was helpful, let me know below in the comments. I hope it was. And check out some of the other stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.